Welcome to Leaseweb Tech Talk, the podcast exploring tech landscape, cloud hosting, and IT infrastructure. Whether you're a professional or new to tech, Leaseweb Tech Talk got you covered. Join us for latest trend, business cases, insightful interviews, and useful tips. Welcome to Leaseweb Tech Talk. Myself, Pamily Subhan, your host today. Today we're going to discuss that not all storage fits every solution. I have Gabriele with myself, who is going to give us tips, tricks, how to choose the right solution, and he's also going to explain different type of storage. And Gabriele, I'm expecting you to give some real-life examples.
Absolutely, Pamily. Thank you again for having me here. Hello, everyone. Yes, today we're going to touch an important topic today because there are many industries today, and it's very important for industry, whatever industry is that manages data today. They need to choose the perfect storage solution for their needs. And unfortunately, today, there is no one storage fits all.
So, Gabriele, we hear all the hype about cloud storage, all terms like file, block, object. So if you can take time to explain us these terms and how to choose the right architectural or the engineering for the business.
Yes, Pamela, you touched a very important point because today, we have many requirements from the companies. Cloud storage is becoming the norm, thanks also to our advancement in networking, and it allowed companies to get access to data from any part of the planet. But the architecture is still important. And you said correctly, file, block, and object storage, which are the three main architectures. They're not all of them, there are many more. The file, block, and object are the most important. They each have their own advantages and disadvantages because unfortunately there is no one storage fits all, like we said. There is no one storage fits all, and these three architectures can solve the majority of the problems today. We have file storage, which is extremely compatible, very easy to use, but can have problems in scalability and performance. We have block storage, which is extremely fast with very low latency, but can be expensive and require extensive expertise in order to be deployed. And then we have object storage, which is much cheaper, it can be extremely scalable, but doesn't have the same level of performance of block storage. So these are the three main differences of these three main architecture. File storage, we can imagine it as our file cabinet, okay? That can be a practical use case for this kind of storage. You have your file cabinet, which can represent your hard drive, which has drawers, which can be in your folder, and then you can have dividers inside the drawer, which can be your subfolders. It's extremely compatible because if using basically all the main
it must be the easiest storage to use.
Yes, absolutely, and the most if the most compatible every time you switch on your laptop, being that Windows, Macintosh, Linux, you have access to file storage. Allows very easily to collaborate between each other, so you can edit a document at the same time with multiple people. And it's also fairly easy to scale, and it's also not so expensive for your team. It's perfect for the small and medium enterprises in that case. Then we discuss about block storage. It's extremely performance, with extreme performance, and it has the capability to divide data into identical blocks, each one with their unique identifiers. You can access these blocks directly and also simultaneously. That's the main advantage. And thanks to this, you have extremely reduced latency and increased performance. Object storage instead does things completely differently. It doesn't have any folder structure, so it's not a file cabinet at all. It's meant for unstructured data like media file or images that need to be backed and accessed occasionally, or for distribution content. Each element uploaded into object storage is treated as an object that has its own metadata, unique identifier, and then the data itself. But this, since it doesn't have a folder structure, you can scale it very easily. By scale it very easily, I mean to the level of exabyte, which is millions of terabytes, which is something that only the biggest infrastructure today they have, but it's been made possible thanks to object storage. Now, these three architectures, like I said, each one cannot satisfy the needs of every single business. At the same time, a business can have the need of more than one. Let's make a practical example, like you ask. Let's take an e-commerce website. If someone wants to build an e-commerce website, like there are thousands in the internet today, if you are the owner of such website, you might want to have block storage, which is extremely fast and very suitable for databases. So your database for your customer that needs to process orders quickly, you might want it on block storage. Then you have your internal documentation to manage everything, to keep track of the quotes, to keep track of the orders, and so on. And it needs to be modified and collaborated with all of your team members. You might want that into file storage. And then when you have an e-commerce website with hundreds, if not thousands of products, where your users are going to upload a lot of photos and a lot of videos and edit metadata, you want that material on object storage, because that will be a large amount of unstructured data. So in this case, this is a use case when you need all three architectures.
But does it cost-friendly for them? Because we are seeing a whole business situation where everyone is trying to optimize costs or cut the costs. But is it cost-friendly when they are integrating different type of storage?
It is cost-friendly because each area is optimized. If you think about it, if you want to put all the data of all of your unstructured data, like images and videos related to products, you want to put them on block storage because you want to have only one, yes, that data will go extremely fast, but it will be extremely expensive. So that's not cost optimization. So that's why you want your data inside object storage, because that's the largest amount of data in the most efficient and also with the cheapest cost per gigabyte you can find on the market. At the same time, you don't want your database in file storage because it's slower, your orders will be processed slower, and as your infrastructure grows, it will be more and more difficult to process this data, because that's one of the problems with file storage. It suffers of performance issues the bigger they become. So you don't want your database in file storage. So yes, when you hear that you need multiple storage for the same business, it might sound expensive, but if you go and touch the technicality of that, you discover that instead it's very optimized.
Yeah, and we always hear that the same storage doesn't fit for, like, one size doesn't fit all in storage. And how does it vary in different industry? Do you have any industry-specific example for the listeners?
Absolutely. I mean, the classic small, medium enterprise, like, for example, that does simple office work, they want a simple file storage, and, for example, to collaborate with Word documents or Excel files, simple accountability. If you are a system integrator that is deploying a virtual machine and doing heavy workload databases, in that case you want block storage. Same if you're working in the media industry. If you are a post-production and you have multiple editors working on the same project at very high speed, because today video is very demanding, like especially if you need in 4K or 8K, and you have multiple people accessing the same project, also in that case can be useful to have block storage. And at the same time, if that same post-production has a distribution system where they want to make sure that their media reaches the highest number of users, then you want to upload the finalized product into object storage. That's another example. Let's go into the healthcare industry. Healthcare industry also can benefit from file and block storage at the same time, because they have either the images of the patients, but they also have a huge database where they keep the record and need to access that at very high speed. So that's another example of how this can be useful with different storage architecture.
Yeah, exactly. Because in healthcare, they have multiple reports, especially say someone has X-rays or MRI, you have various footages. So I'm assuming object storage would be the best for them to store that type of images for long term, which is like 8 years, 10 years. Every country has their own regulations.
Depends also by the kind of work that you want to do. For example, if you have a management software for healthcare where you have access data to each patient, maybe the photos or the videos of that patients are residing on object storage, while you have the clinical folder or all the details in a management software. In that case, you want to have it on block storage for the database for the specific software, and then the documentation of file storage.
Okay, that's great. There's a big culture of how freelancing. We see a lot of content creator, a lot of freelance works. So if you have to recommend a certain type of storage for that segment of consumer, because it's individual workers, right? So they don't have that much of money to spend on storage. What's the best fit for them?
Well, if you are a single content creator, then usually you are utilizing direct attached storage, which is part of the file storage solution. But of course, if individually you have one or multiple drives that you directly attach to your laptop or to your workstations where you keep your media, and maybe you have a cloud storage solution, usually smaller when you keep your finalized work. The difficulty when you are in this kind of business, of course, when you are a content creator, one thing that happens very, very often, these content creators, they travel a lot, and of course their media needs to be resilient, and it can be damaged during the transport. So backup copies having multiple direct attached storage is usually recommended.
Okay, thank you for all the insightful knowledge and sharing all your tips and tricks to choose the right solution, because as we say in the beginning, one size doesn't fit all, so everyone needs their own customized fits. So thank you so much for that, Gabriele. Thank you for tuning in on today's episode where we spoke more about cloud storage, and stay tuned for our next episode where we are diving deep into file storage. We hope you found this episode insightful. For more content, like, share, and subscribe. You can also subscribe to our newsletter at leaseweb.com/newsletter.